Welcome back to H360 Health Talk. I'm here today with Frank Shane, the founder and CEO of Canine Disaster Relief. Frank, I want to thank you again for joining us.
A pleasure.
Now, since founding Canine Disaster Relief, you've had other dogs. You brought one of your colleagues with you today, Chance. Tell me a little about Chance. How did you come about Chance, and how is Chance working out, and are there similarities between the dogs? I would imagine every dog has their own type of personality. Talk to me a little about Chance.
That's a very interesting question because each dog does have innate abilities. Although I will say some want to be home and be the house dog, and that's fine. That's the job they want. These dogs who are trained, they want to do something, but then they have various skills, innate skills, and you really can't change that. Nike was good at working with children, and I had another dog, Buddy, that we worked under FEMA, so Buddy we worked under hurricanes and things like that. So he had great overall abilities. He could adapt, and he liked challenges, but he was a little more strategic than Nike was. Where Nike was sort of global and would take in everything, and he was just
assimilate
always very,
what's going on.
Right, right. Chance was trained in Texas for 3 months, and I brought him back, and then his training continues for a year.
I can tell by the accent that the dog has. He spent time in Texas.
Y'all. No, don't get me going, because I love barbecue.
I see that, Frank, and so do I.
Oh, I was telling you before, it's not fair where your studios are. I got to go past two White Castles. I mean, that is cruel and inhumane. And I got to go back past, but they're on the other side of the road. But Chance went through his basic training and then advanced. And then what you're doing is you're adapting the dog to various situations. One of the places, seriously, that I would take him would be to Walmart, because you couldn't have a better environment of total
There's
chaos.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, until one day he got into the animal department and took every toy out. But that was part of his curiosity, and finally the manager came over. He says, just let him pick out the toy he wants and let him take it. We still have that toy, and it's his go-to toy. But he got his vest and was fully prepared to go to work. And the next day I got a call, and they said, Frank, how long will it take you to get to Sandy Hook? So I mapped it and figured an hour. We were up there within an hour and a half of the school shootings.
Yeah.
And in the command center. That was his first.
And so Chance went to work.
There has to be a special ability in people and with animals, but I didn't know how this was going to unfold with Chance, because there was every layer. You take 9/11, and now you put children involved, and people in combat uniforms, and here we were, and people were gathering in the local firehouse, which was an eyeshot of the school. They didn't know at that point how many children had died. As it turned out, some of the children couldn't be identified for days because of the caliber of weapon. Chance people would bring their young children in and other children. That was a safe haven, if you will. And I thought of Lil, I thought about Ground Zero, and I thought, I'm going to let Chance do his thing. And his connectivity with the children was unbelievable. And that's what needed to be done then.
Yeah. So Frank, you brought something here to share with us today. What is this?
Well, every once in a while, the Nike would go down, because an important thing to mention is that the health and the welfare and safety of the canine is important at all times. So that is a training that we have to have as handlers. And part of that on Ground Zero was, and continues, but especially on Ground Zero, that he would go under a full health study at least once a month. That was funded by one individual that donated all the money, and then through University of Pennsylvania Veterinary School. So we would have to go down to Penn. But then I decided that I'm going to give him a couple of days off. And he didn't seem like he needed it, because on Ground Zero he had all the places. He had St. Paul's Church. He had that was his and mine too. A lot of us. That was our. That's where a gyroscope could function, because a lot of times you didn't want to really go home, because all what people saw was on CNN, and you didn't want to talk about this. So I said, I'm gonna keep him home for a couple days or so. He stopped eating, but then I began to know.
Sure.
And he would take his vest off, the thing, everything else. So I took him back, and he wanted to see his friends, because dogs don't know terrorists, they don't know airplanes, they really don't know buildings going down. All they know is human love, compassion, and empathy. Okay. So I come back, and in the respite area, this big, gigantic, several-acre tent, there was this one table where it was empty. That was unusual. There were no chairs around it or anything. And I go over to that area, and I see this. This is a piece of marble from the plaza of the World Trade Center, and it was just sitting in the middle. And it was from a firefighter that used to sleep with Nike every night when he came in off of his shift. And he was looking for his brother. Brother means in the fire service, your comrade, your partner. And I never got to talk to him really at all, because usually we'd be trying to find Nike when I had to go back out on site and gear up and boots and that helmet and everything. We go, where's Nike? And we knew he was under a blanket somewhere, but usually he was with this firefighter. So while I was gone for those few days, he found his brother. So he left this with his picture and his information, World Trade Center Task Force. I've never met him. I've looked for him. I'll someday, things have a way of happening. But when somebody says to me, why do you do it, or what do you get out of it? I think of this, or I look at it. But I do go around the country, or schools, and again, you have to be age appropriate of what you talk about. But people say, why don't you put this in a case? Well, because I want people to hold it and feel it.
Yeah.
And feel the energy of it. And so to me, that's what I do. And that's what Nike did. I don't know where Chance is now, but that's what he does.
Well, Frank, thanks for coming in, and keep up the great work. It's good to see you, and I'd love to invite you back on the show anytime.
Anytime. Thanks very much, Dave.